Welcome to Sit Down Stand Up with John Malkin, the show where comedy meets conversation. Get ready for a ride full of laughs, stories from the stage, and possibly a few surprises. And now, here's your host, John Malkin.
Welcome to another Sit Down Stand Up with John Malkin. That is me, John Malkin. It is so fun doing the show. I can't remember what number we're on, but maybe it's 10 or 12, but the show keeps happening, and we keep getting some really cool guests. We got a really cool guest today. Here's the geographical path of this gentleman here. Started out in Hawthorne, California, back in 1991, and then moved east in 2006. Somehow landed in Portlandia, Connecticut. Portland, Connecticut, for those who are keeping track. And I'm really excited to welcome to the show Danny BOZANGAS. Danny BOZANGAS, how are you, brother?
Thank you. I am good. It is hot here, and I'm sure it's hotter everywhere else too. So
it's hot. It is a hot day out.
Yeah, I'll complain in silence.
Yeah, well, our summers are like 45 minutes, so I can't complain too long because in about
I swear minutes, I saw a yellow and red leaf on something. I was like, no, it's July. Don't even.
Someone glued it. Yeah,
that better be poison or something, man, because I'm not ready.
Totally. Don't touch it, man. Well, thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you.
Yeah, so you started out. Tell me, first of all, I love the name Danny BOZANGAS. That's just a freaking. I mean, that just sums it up. Is that your birth name? Like if I looked at your birth certificate, I would see Danny BOZANGAS, or or is that kind of the name that you came up with, like, and just as you were getting into your craft? How did you come up with such a cool name like that?
Well, I think we were in playing some Jackbox games and a word game where we had to write your own jokes, joke boat. And somebody wrote the name BOZANGAS,
and
I was And I was thinking of that episode from 2.5 Men where he said vodka knockers, and little Jake's like knockers, vodka knockers. So somehow BOZANGAS, Danny BOZANGAS, and it just rang. Right. And I know how Monty Python felt that moment they said Monty Python's Flying Circus, and they're like,
That's right. I love it. That's a great name. So what brought you from Hawthorne, California, where I don't know, where is Hawthorne, California? Is that, I mean, I know two towns, LA and San Francisco, and that's about it. Where's Hawthorne in relation to something that people might know?
Hawthorne, if you go from Los Angeles, about 20 minutes southwest.
Oh, okay.
And it's right next to Compton, which a lot of people know that one. So it's in that area, Compton, Gardena, Lawndale, Manhattan Beach, Torrance.
Oh, yeah, that's nice, yeah.
El Segundo.
Also, I've been there. I've been to El Segundo many times. So what brought you from Hawthorne to Portland, Connecticut? Because something got you here, man. What brought you east to Portland?
Yeah, I was married in 1999, and I got a divorce, and I wanted to get as far away from her as I possibly could.
And you picked the East Coast,
Portland,
but how the
Connecticut.
heck did you end up? How did you find Portland, Connecticut?
I just couldn't go. I ran out of money and couldn't go any farther east. No.
Your car just like ran out of gas at the mini mart, and like, this is where I'm making. It's where my stakes are going down. Okay, and what year was this?
This was 2005.
2005.
I had been traveling all over the country. I'd been to Tennessee. I'd been to Pennsylvania. Just going, kind of couch hopping after a while here and there. Finally, I met somebody, and she said, "Come out and visit me." And 7 months after we met, we got married.
Oh, so you remarried? Oh, okay. So yes. That's right. Wow. So you've been married. Quite a while now.
18 years this January.
Happy anniversary, early anniversary. And now you don't have any kids, but you got cats. So people who don't have kids but have cats, people write comedy about that. Do you joke about the fact that you don't have kids but you have cats?
Yes. Because I know those aren't like real kids, because my 16-year-old doesn't tell me I'm a loser.
Is that you're talking about your 16-year-old cat?
Yeah.
No, I think the 16-year-old cat probably tells you you're a loser. You just don't really understand what it's saying.
Right. But yeah, not quite as verbal as a 16-year-old boy. Plus, he doesn't try to take my car.
That's right. That's cool. Although then they have a skit on SNL about the driving cat. What,
Oh yeah,
what was the
yeah.
name?
I can't remember.
It's not Scrumptious. Or I don't know. Whatever. Remember the cat that drove? Yeah.
Yes, I
So
do.
anyway,
I want to say Tibbles
so
or
you
something like that.
something like that. So you started doing comedy when you were still out in California.
Yes.
Tell me how you got in. Tell me how you got into that game.
Well, I liked playing with bands. I liked hanging out with bands, and a lot of times I wanted to be in a band, but I wasn't good enough to be in a band. So I was the guy. They said, "Hey, why don't you tell some jokes while we're setting up?" And so,
Oh wow. Okay.
so really, like the first time I went out on stage was the Roxy Theater on Sunset in Hollywood.
Oh, that's huge. Who
Yeah,
you
and
who
this-
you opening up for? Like Motley Crue?
No, it was my friend's band was called Eroxic, and
Eroxic?
Eroxic. That was the name of the band, and they said, "While we're setting up, start telling jokes."
All right.
And I did, and of course, this is a rock concert venue, and people aren't ready for somebody to come and just start telling jokes on a mic. So half the people aren't paying attention, and then the sound guy thought it would be cute to put on the chipmunk voice, Alvin Chipmunk voice. So I'm trying to tell jokes with the Alvin Chipmunk's voice, and I'm getting pissed
Now
at the
that's
guy.
fun.
And the more pissed I get, the more people are laughing. And oh man,
That's
Laugh
funny.
at
So
my
that's how.
pain.
So you started telling jokes as Alvin the Chipmunk at the Sunset at the Roxy
Yes.
on Sunset Strip. That I mean, there's a story there. That's what launched your career. That's what launched your comedy. And then after, did you get the bug? Like this is now. I mean, because someone told you to just get up there and start telling jokes, but all of a sudden you say like, okay, I'm going to start doing this thing. I mean, is that what happened? I'm always just so curious how people got into our little trade we call stand-up comedy.
well, and out where I lived out there in that area, there was open mics everywhere in Los Angeles, in Santa Monica,
Yes.
downtown. Especially right now, I really like that place Flappers out in Burbank.
Okay.
I really like that place out there. It wasn't around when I was out there, but it is now, so go check it out. But
Okay.
yeah, I would do these open mics and everything, and I remember, I don't know if you remember Sanford and Son. There was the guy Grady.
Oh yeah, Grady, the old guy. Yeah.
An actor named Whitman Mayo.
Yeah.
An actor named Whitman Mayo played the Grady, and he would often be at those mics, and he was a very supportive of comics trying. And he would talk to you if you had a bad set. He wanted to hear about it. I mean, he didn't really know you, but he wanted you to keep trying. And I remember that about him, because he's always trying to be
cool.
inspirational to young comics. He didn't need to be doing open mics. He just liked doing them.
That's so funny. I never would. I mean, I don't know much about him, but I never. I guess I never
I
really
didn't either.
thought he was like a stand-up comedian. But that's very cool. So you're doing doing open mics in California, and you're starting to get some traction. You're starting to play some cool clubs out there, because you're right, there are a lot of clubs. I've actually played. There's a place in Santa Monica called I think it's called the East Side Comedy Club. It's like it's a really cool club, like in an alley. I've done a few open mics there when I used to go out to California, and I actually got to play the Hollywood Improv one time, which was pretty darn cool. But there's a great awesome comedy scene out there. So did you kind of explore that area and start getting your feet wet?
No, I actually got married to a woman who wanted me to be a pastor. So
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, so she wanted to be a pastor's wife really bad, and I was like trying really hard to make that happen. And it's like I was drinking way too much to make that happen, and so it's kind of hard to be a pastor when you're drinking a lot. And
I don't know. I mean, I'd actually get closer to God if I was drinking a lot more. I'm telling you that. But so wait a minute. So did you pass yourself off as someone who's going to be a pastor, which said like, oh yeah, I want to be with you, or you guys got married and then she shaped you or tried to persuade you to be a pastor because she wanted to be a pastor's wife? How did that all play out?
That was more like it, because we both started.
Wow.
We were going to church together, and then she wanted to be the pastor's wife, and
why did she want to be a pastor's wife? I mean, what where would one even think about going, you know what? My destiny is to be a pastor's wife.
we never explored that, so I never knew what was her
She
name.
got divorced.
Yeah.
Okay. So how did you go about trying to become a pastor? Do you go to pastor school?
No, I had told her I was going to go to, there was a Bible
Oh,
school out in Pasadena, Fuller, and I'm going to go. I'm going to go. I swear I'm going to get my degree and everything. And there, then the church, one of the churches we went to was, I forget what they call it, but a cult. That's it. Yeah,
cult.
they wanted you to become a pastor and go out and start a church somewhere, anywhere in the world.
Yeah,
Because it
yeah,
was
yeah.
God's will to bless you and send you with no knowledge of any kind to how to run a church. So
Did they
when I
want you
said,
to
well, maybe
send
I should take
checks
some,
back, or
what's that?
did they want you to send checks back? Well, to
Well, of
write
course I have to
checks to them.
send, I have to kick some up to the mother church. They're not
Ah,
dumb.
of course, got
Yeah,
it.
because the world
Got
organization needs to, spread the word.
Yep. Nope. 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 No, I get it. I get it. All right. So then so you bolted out of California now you're in Connecticut, which is a great state. I live in Connecticut. I love Connecticut. And now you're in beautiful Portland, Connecticut,
Yes.
on the opposite side of the globe from Portland, Oregon, thankfully. And you kept your comedy going.
Well, after the whole pastor thing, I kind of dropped out for a little while. I never really like to see. When I say I've been doing this since 1991, I often say I've been doing it collectively for 3 months since then.
Ah.
Because
Okay.
I'll do it a month, get mad, quit for 7 years, come back and like, you guys aren't ready for me. And then it took me a while to finally get to the point where it's not your fault. I can't make you laugh. I gotta
Right.
take responsibility. I can't just say,
It's
"Well, you just
always
don't
the
like
audience.
jokes,"
Yeah. No, it's always their fault. That's what I always
Yeah.
say.
It took me a
If I
long
have a
time to
bad set,
realize.
yeah, yeah. All right, very cool. Well, your style of comedy, or the way you kind of describe your comedy, is observational and silly, and observationally silly. So, what does that mean? I kind of know what it means, but what topics do you like to talk about? Are you kind of self-deprecating, or do you kind of take topics du jour? Do you take current events? Where do you kind of focus your comedy on?
Well, like everyday occurrences in my life, things in my family too, and
Okay.
people around me. I talk about how, like, my wife was gonna dump some. I was dumping some corn down the drain, and she said,
Right.
"Don't dump that down the drain. It goes into the septic tank." I said,
Right.
"Well, is that septic tank hooked into the toilet?" She said, "Yeah." I'm like, "Well, where was the corn we ate gonna go?"
Exactly. Exactly. It just comes out a different pipe. That's right.
Uh,
That's funny. That's very funny. So is your current wife? I'm assuming she does not want you to be. She has no desire to be a pastor's wife. I'm assuming, although
no,
I shouldn't
no.
assume anything. Okay, that's good. Does she support your comedy? Because that's important.
Oh yes,
Because
totally,
my
totally.
wife
That's
doesn't.
right. And it's because like a lot of things I want to do, she quit saying, "You know what? Maybe you shouldn't. Just be safe. I'll see you when you get back."
Right. Don't hurt yourself.
Yeah, but it's just like, but
Yes.
like going to all the
That's
open mics now, though, it just gets a lot harder when you get older. I don't know where my energy got like
why. I
siphoned.
think we just have a lot more to say.
Well,
Don't
no,
don't
it's
you
just
think you have a lot more to talk about?
the energy that
Oh
involves
well.
like working full time, and then I don't know how I did it. I worked a full time job, and then I umpired a little league baseball game, and then ate and went and did an open mic, and then did it all again at 7 o'clock the next day. And somehow I don't know
Yeah.
where that all went.
Yeah. They have this thing to help people like us at our age. It's called drugs. That I hear. So I
And
hear.
then
Just a rumor.
yeah, and then they have this philosophy of no drugs. It's gonna like totally blow your mind, and it blows some other
That's
things
right.
too.
That's right. That's right. That's right. So what inspired you? Like, who inspires you to? What inspired you to get into comedy? Some of the comedians in the past that
Oh,
that excite you, that you like, you kind of just love to listen to.
well, my family first off was the most hilarious people ever. The
Your
women in
immediate
my
family.
my mother, my sisters, my aunts, my cousins, hilarious people. I never understood
Okay.
the whole women aren't funny. No, you didn't know the women in my life; they were hilarious.
So what
And
made them so funny? I mean, the way they're just the way they lived, or were they literally like ha ha funny?
just the way they communicated with each other and threw things out like that, because this was in the 70s, and they like to drink and speak their mind. And sometimes it was just great to just listen to some of these things that they just go on about, and then
Right.
remind them about it, or explain it how you heard it or you saw it.
Right. Now, did you take some of that and use it in part? Because that, a lot of, listen, a lot of comedians talk about the present, some things that happen, but some of the, like you could talk about some of the stuff that kind of influenced and, had an impact in your life at an earlier stage, and some of the things that, kind of the growing up kind of comedy. Do you integrate that into your sets? Because that could be very funny.
Yeah, I think it's really important to do that. I told a joke about how my brother got his water turned off, so I sent him a get well card.
That's good.
And you want me to feel bad? And don't feel bad for my brother, because when we were little, he would put scratch and sniff stickers at the bottom of the bathtub and tell me to stick my face in the water and smell them.
Wait, were you able to sell? Are you actually able to smell scratch and sniff when it's in the bottom of a tub? I mean, is that
No,
really
because
work?
the sharp pain of water going up into your nostrils is really.
Oh, all right, I got it. So he made you. Oh man, that's not enough. Man, oh man, jeez, that's too freaking funny. So you in your bio, you talk about how you listened to comedians like Eddie Murphy, Andrew Dice Clay, Sam Kinison, who I absolutely freaking love. And I actually got a chance. I'm from Chicago originally. I got a chance to see Sam Kinison at the Park West, which is still there, matter of fact, in front of I don't know, it was probably like 500 people in the audience. He was probably just starting out. And I'm still laughing from that show. That guy was unique. And you love Kinison too, right?
Yes, and it's ironic that Kinison was a pastor before he became a comedian, so I thought that's what I had to do. I got to be the pastor first and then be the comedian.
That's right. Now, I don't know if his wife forced him to become a pastor so she could be a pastor wife. I think he actually just wanted to be a pastor.
Yeah, he was all into it. I loved hearing some of his sermons because he's got that voice and he's praising God in that voice,
Right.
and you're just like, oh my God,
Yes.
Sam, you're so awesome.
Yeah. That's an eclectic mix. Now you see also now you talk about the Mount Rushmore of comedy. So if you're putting your Mount Rushmore of your favorite comedians on the mountain, who would that be?
Okay, so growing up with my family, we were experienced a lot of different comedy records, comedy specials, and
Right.
early on I was exposed to the Marx Brothers, and it took me
Yes.
growing up with that. I mean, they were way before my time, but growing up with their ability to just throw off one another, and I was just blown
Right.
away by that. And then then Monty
Right.
Python comes along, and they're doing that kind of same thing.
Right.
But when I was little, my parents wouldn't let me listen to George Carlin or Richard Pryor because of all the profanity. But they were totally okay with Bill Cosby records.
Really interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
I could listen to all. In fact, I used to do Bill Cosby's impersonations so good, but it's not cool to do them anymore, so I can't do the Bill
Right.
Cosby impressions anymore. It's like, no, don't do them.
So you think they let you listen to Bill Cosby because he had a cartoon? I mean, they're probably thinking
No,
oh,
he
he's
was
fine.
clean. He didn't use any profanity.
Oh, I see. Okay, I got it.
But he was doing other things that were just as bad. So, they always got to wonder about someone like that. It's like,
Yeah, totally.
all right, what's he doing?
We all those years we were wondering what he was
Yeah,
doing. but-
Richard Pryor with the drugs and the profanity, and George Carlin, same thing.
right.
I don't want you to learn all those bad words.
The
already know 'em.
7 naughty words. So it sounds like you like physical comedy, right? I mean,
Yes,
because
I do like that.
Yeah.
And that's why I love wrestling too, because same thing, physical
oh,
comedy.
you're a wrestling guy. So who are some of the comedians, like the current comedians that you like today? Anyone in particular?
Jim Jeffries, I like a lot.
Great comedian.
Yeah,
Great comic.
I try to go see him when he comes by here. I mean, there's a lot of local
Nice.
guys that I'd love to see when they're
Yeah.
around here, and
Yeah.
trying to think of who else. I mean, I think Jim Jeffries is the last one I recently saw. And,
Yeah.
Ron
Like
White.
Sebastian
Ron White. I haven't seen in a
Maniscalco is
while.
a very. Yeah. Sebastian Maniscalco, very physical comedian. I love that kind of stuff. See, I grew up watching the Stooges.
Yes.
Not Iggy Pop and the Stooges. I did not watch. I listened to them, but I grew up watching the Three Stooges. I used to watch them 3 times a day. Like they were on at 7 in the morning before I went to school, 3:30 in the afternoon when I came back, and then they put them on again at 11. So I got 3 doses of the Stooges. So I absolutely cannot get enough of physical comedy, you know. And like you said, when Monty Python's came out, and I love the whole. There's something about the timeliness of physical comedy, which is just it's an art, a science, a craft. It's almost like it's almost like it's a God-given gift to be able to combine that type of all that into being a comic. But
Yeah,
I love that kind of comedy.
growing up, then John Ritter was famous for the physical act comedy he did. I didn't really appreciate it when I was younger. I just thought it was off the wall stuff. But when I get older, I'm like, dang.
Right?
Just,
Like Robin Williams.
Robin
Williams,
yes.
another extremely physical comic. You know, just the way he can. I mean, first of all, it was just a genius beyond genius, but just the way he was able to take his physical nature and his presence and just and the comedy that came through that, the physical comedy on top of the cerebral comedy was just generational, man. Every
Yes.
generation, one of those.
And when Martin Short does that Jiminy Glick, I will crack
Short.
up every time.
And he's been filling in for I think it was filling in for Kimmel, so he was doing these Jiminy Glick interviews, which is like he is one of my all-time favorites. That guy is insanely funny.
He doesn't know who you are. Let's talk about your ding dong.
I know, I love that. I love that. Tim Conway, another guy growing up, right, on the Carol Burnett show. Another incredibly physical comedian. I loved all those guys on it. So you still how often are you doing comedy? How often are you getting out and doing your thing?
I try to go like twice a month right now.
Good for you.
So I got the summer right now. I got a lot of gardening going on, and
There's
so
some
that's
comedy
basically my
there.
audience right now is my garden.
Nice. You know, they laugh at everything, those petunias.
Well, they don't,
laugh.
but they don't get the jokes. But you know what? Maybe they tell jokes each other that I don't get.
That's true. That's true.
You know, they
And
might say, my zucchini plants are saying, "Hey, Joe, yeah, Fred, hey, photosynthesis." Where do you get this from?
Danny, if you happen to be out in the garden and you do hear the plants talking, just go right to the doctor. I mean, there's an issue there. I'm going on the record.
Yeah, because I'm gonna need a hearing aid. Talk to me, my plants.
That's right. Well, that's very cool, man. Are you constantly writing? Are you constantly because you talk about your comedy being observational and silly and so are you constantly just absorbing and writing?
Yeah, and the other night I was watching Wheel of Fortune, and
Wheel of Fortune.
Yeah, and the guy spun and he asked for an L, and Pat Sajak said, "No L, Larry." I said, "Well, wouldn't that make him Airy? If there's no L, Larry?" And
That's true.
And in France, he'd be Christmas Larry.
He'd be Christmas. That's right.
Like just watching Wheel of Fortune. I gotta write that.
Now, are you gonna miss Pat Sajak when he? Because he's gone, right? I mean, are you watching right?
They're going to do some repeats up until I think September. Then Ryan Seacrest is supposed to take over.
Right, Ryan Seacrest. I have a trivia question for you. Name one show Ryan Seacrest is not on.
This one.
That's right. Maybe one day. Now that guy, he's like the hardest working guy in showbiz, man.
Yeah, I remember on American Idol, he used to get all lippy with Simon, and that was the best.
Oh yeah. Oh, no doubt, man.
Or better
no doubt.
when he tried to high five the blind guy. That was.
That's funny. That's funny. Well, hey man, it's such a pleasure. It's such a great pleasure having just such unique people coming on the show from all over the country, and we're expanding beyond our borders. I mean, well, not the U.S. yet, but maybe we'll talk to some foreign comedians because they're funny over there too. And for those listening, I just have to remind myself, if you want to find me, you can find me at John Malkin Live. That's where I find myself. And Danny, if people wanted to find you and your comedy and your shows and all that, where would they go?
It would be D Bazangas on Facebook. D Bazangas on.
D Bazangas.
Yeah, D Bazangas. Just like.
Okay.
Yeah, and Instagram, I think I'm there. Twitter, I haven't been on there since Iron Sheik passed. So
Ah,
Facebook, because he keeps telling me to f myself every day in a great way, and I just enjoyed it.
ah, nice, nice. All right. Well, very cool. Listen, as part of the show, I like to do this at the end of each of our shows. I play this little game called Repeat Offenders, okay? So I'm going to ask you a series of questions, 5 questions, and first answer. You don't have to think about it. Just first thing that comes to your mind, right? Kind of silly questions, and you just tell me first thing comes to your mind. All right. Take a sip of that water. Here we go. First question. All right. If you can invite anyone over to your house for dinner, dead or alive, who would it be?
Dimebag Daryl Abbott from Pantera.
Yeah. Good for you, man. That's a great answer.
My favorite
That's a great
musician of all
answer.
time, and I never got to meet him.
I love it. That's a great answer. Okay. Second question. If you could tour with any comic, dead or alive, I think you might. I think I might know what you've been going to say, but tour with any comic, dead or alive, who would it be?
I got this thing. I would love to tour with Lewis Black because I think we could just get into these so crazy arguments, and they would just be hilarious because that's his style. It's just
Right.
arguing mad. I would just
Yeah.
do it again,
With his
Lewis.
finger, with his finger that points. He's like,
Yeah.
"Ah," like this. Yeah. Yeah. He's great.
Yeah, I think it would be
I love
Lewis Black.
Yeah. All right. That's a great one. That'd be a good comic. All right. If you were a ghost, who would you spend the most time haunting? I don't know. Maybe someone out in Hawthorne, California. I've just thrown it out.
Actually,
Thrown it out.
if my ex-wife is still out there,
That's what I was saying. Anyone in particular? That who you'd haunt her?
yeah, I'd have to haunt her. You
All
know,
right. And you
I wanted to, if I ever passed away, I wanted to get a court order that my body had to sit on her porch until it was totally decomposed and she couldn't legally touch it. But there's no.
oh
like,
my God! Yes. All
But
right.
also, I'll have to
Only,
face the ghost thing, right?
I think you could do that in California, by the way. I think that's legal.
Currently not.
Yes. Because if you can crap on the street, I think they probably let you put your dead corpse on a porch too. So.
I mean, there's got to be some out there, right?
Oh,
They
no
just don't want
doubt.
the cops coming by, so they don't tell anybody.
Well, have you seen what Gavin Newsom looks like these days? It almost looks like a corpse. Never mind. We won't get into that. All right. Next question for you. If you could only eat one food for the rest of your life, what would you consume?
Like a style of food, or just a one item?
Probably something that you can actually consume. Like,
Because I would just
food item.
live on Indian food if I could.
there you go.
Indian
All
food.
right. Indian food. You like curry and you like all that
I
stuff.
love all
huh?
that stuff. The hot and spicy, the naan bread, the tikka masalas,
yeah.
the pink tandoori barbecue. Oh man.
Nice. Okay. Very cool. All right. Well, if we ever get to that point in your life where you just are allowed, that might be like your last meal before you execute
Right.
you.
And then,
You're going to ask
the,
for Indian food.
the people at the Indian restaurant, they say they don't even eat that every day. Sometimes they go to McDonald's. And, I'm like, I hope you're
Oh.
getting chicken sandwiches. 'Cause I thought you weren't allowed to eat the beef. I don't know. I didn't want
Do
to.
they have a Happy Meal at your favorite Indian restaurant? I probably not, is my guess. So just throwing it
Well,
out there.
it's
Okay.
like-
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
All right. Last question for you, man. If you had to wear a sign around your neck for the rest of your life, what would it say on that sign?
Not with that attitude.
Yes. That's a good one, man.
I actually have the
Very
sign. I will wear it.
I love it. Not with that attitude. That's very good. Any particular reason why? I mean, because what? The way people, people, the way they look at you or the way they, I mean, what? I mean, which is a cool message to have.
Right.
But why
It's
that
a,
particular?
it's a multifaceted message. It can be an inspirational thing. Like if you're going around with
Yes.
a bad attitude, you're not going to make it with that attitude.
No.
Or if you think you can't do something, why?
That's right. Not with that attitude while you're
Yes.
eating Indian food. That's you might want to add that at this little asterisk at the bottom.
And I want to throw in a little there to Shannon Doherty. I met her last November, and I gave her one of those
Really?
bracelets. Yes. I gave her one
Where
of
did
those
you meet
bracelets.
Shannon Doherty?
Rhode Island Comic Con.
Wow, what was she doing at the Rhode Island Comic
She
Con?
was just meeting fans, taking pictures, signing autographs, and she was just like so full of life at stage 4 cancer, and she was dying. And she could barely keep her eyes open, but I made her laugh with the bracelet and everything. So
Oh,
she's got one of those bracelets.
oh, that's really cool, man. Yeah, she's. We kind of grew up with Shannon Doherty, didn't we? She was in a lot of
Yeah.
lot of stuff. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't even think
so.
she sat down the whole time. She was just standing, just being. I don't think she wanted to sit at home and wait for it to happen. She just wanted to be out there, just
Good for you, man. Did you get your picture taken with Shannon Doherty?
Yes,
Oh wow, look at you.
it's on my Facebook
You should-
profile actually.
All right, I'll check it out, man. Well, when people need to look for you, they go to BOZANGAS,
Yes.
BAZONGAS
Yeah.
at on
Yahoo.
Facebook and
Or Facebook, yeah.
same thing on Instagram and
Yes.
cool. And I'm assuming your upcoming shows you'll be posting where you're playing, so people come and check you out.
Absolutely.
Excellent, man. Danny Bazongas via Hawthorne, California, ended up in Portland, Connecticut. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you.
I appreciate it, man. Best of luck to you, and I hope one day maybe we're sharing the same stage and maybe some Indian food.
Hell yeah! Woo!
Excellent. Well, you've listened to another episode of Sit Down Stand Up with John Malkin. I am John Malkin. Until next time, I am out of here.
That's a wrap on today's episode of Sit Down Stand Up with John Malkin. Make sure to follow John on social media at John Malkin Live. See you next time, and don't forget to think while you laugh.